Pokémon is a franchise that thrives in various media. Kinda speaks for itself. Video games, trading cards, merchandise, you name it, Pokémon has it. One of these media that's not being talked about as much as it deserves to be are the shows. And no, I'm not talking about the anime. All these web series like Generations, Evolutions, and the very recent Path to the Peak, which may or may not be a video series on my channel in the future, wink wink, don't get much talk from what I've seen from the community and even other YouTubers, so I want to change that. And what better way to make that happen as we explore the brand new world that came out in the tail end of 2023, Pokémon Concierge. Yes, I said we. Y'all read the title.
Hiya, my name is Pokeking, but you can just call me King, and this Netflix series is one K-Dog and I have been looking forward to since it was first revealed on Pokemon Day last year. Given the current nature of Pokemon shows and web series being all about the battle aspect of the franchise, a brand new storyline expanding the Pokemon universe felt like a breath of fresh air. Also, it being in stop-motion animation sounded like a pipe dream, but a good pipe dream.
A stop-motion animated Pokemon series is something we never expected to happen, but after watching that trailer in November, almost everyone was looking forward to this series. So what are we waiting for? Is Pokemon Concierge worth watching? Let's find out. Also, story spoilers, I guess.
3, 2, 1.
This series is composed of 4 episodes and focuses on the adventures of Haru, a woman who had misfortune after misfortune happen to her, so she looks for a fresh start, becoming a concierge at the Pokemon Resort, a tropical setting where people and Pokemon relax together in harmony. Along the way, Haru meets her fellow co-workers, including her boss, who is a sweet old mama bear, the ultimate Chad surfer bro, and the laid-back artsy girl, as Haru learns and discovers not only what makes Pokemon happy, but herself happy as well.
The plot isn't particularly heavy and one that's going to win any awards, but frankly, that's not the point of this series. Whereas other Pokemon shows like the anime focus on an actual journey like you would to yourself in the games, Pokemon Concierge takes a step back and it's just about catching the vibes you'd get out of hanging out at a resort filled with Pokemon, and I think it does that pretty well.
Not to mention, the show is absolutely adorable, not only from the art style of the backgrounds or the stop-motion animation, which we'll get to in a bit, but just seeing all these Pokemon interact the way they do in this kind of environment is peak adorableness and epicness. Just look at Wooper and Mudkip here and tell me I'm not wrong. You cannot.
You cannot.
Yeah, Mudkip wagging its tail around like a dog was the most precious thing in the show and made me want to hug it so much, I'm not gonna lie.
Also, this one scene where Magikarp evolves into a Gyarados goes hard for absolutely no reason at all. When I saw this scene, I was immediately ready to give this show a 10 out of 10. And being next to a waterfall is a nice little nod to Pokemon Snap, which is traced back to a Chinese myth about carp that evolve into flying dragons after jumping through a waterfall. Just very nice attention to detail there. More on that later. And all of this can especially be applied to the friendship between Haru and Psyduck.
I couldn't have said it better myself, as this friendship is just really cute and sweet, and this Psyduck is peak Pokemon content. Do not judge or attempt to change my mind. I will silence you at the next opportunity if I have to hear any more Psyduck slander.
K-Dog, can we focus and not threaten our audience?
No.
And it's a home run!
Anyways, Psyduck is peak in this series. The way he waddles around, the sounds he makes, everything about this Psyduck is just really cute, funny, and this isn't even accounting for the friendship it has with Haru.
Yeah, without a doubt. Psyduck helps Haru understand what the Pokemon Resort is all about, as Haru helps Psyduck with the same thing. That's how they both have this connection with each other and why it works well. We love to see besties being besties. As Watanabe taught Haru in the first episode, the one thing she has to do is have a good time here. Have fun, let go, and be herself. And in episode 2, Alyssa teaches Haru that Pokemon won't tell you what makes them themselves, as that's something she has to discover for herself. All of this is really relatable and grounded, as well as Haru's struggles she had before she arrived at the resort.
Haru is a character who feels overwhelmed by the world around her. having a relationship go down the tubes and some other misfortunes happening, she's someone who feels so caught up in adult life that while she's captivated by the resort, she initially struggles to actually enjoy herself in the first episode, and even after her first day, she feels guilty for even relaxing in the first place. My god, if that is not a more relatable moment for a hardworking middle-class worker in this day and age, I don't know what is. She eventually learns what it means to be a concierge and to love herself, and I appreciate how this growth happens between a conversation between her and Watanabe. She felt super naive about everything, and I'm glad it only took her one episode to come to that conclusion, and we just get more time with her having a great time being a concierge. Speaking of a great time, holy shit, these visuals.
Yeah, I don't think we can prolong the inevitable any further. Pokémon Concierge looks absolutely gorgeous. I have always been a fan of stop motion movies and shows, with Coraline being one of my favorite movies ever, and I couldn't help but feel nostalgia while watching this series for the stop motion alone. Not only that, but they use textures and materials on the Pokemon that make them look so stylized and real. Like in the last episode with the Pikachus, I just wanted to jump into the screen and give them the biggest hug ever. The visuals truly make you want to jump into this cozy tropical world. I also want to say I love the attention to detail they put into the background, from the settings to the Pokemon to Guy Fieri. It gives it so much immersion and I love it.
I absolutely agree. This series looks stunning and beautiful in the environments, as well as the humans and Pokemon themselves. Stop motion animation is just such a timeless animation form that always looks amazing no matter when it's made. I mean, just look at media like Wallace and Gromit, or Chicken Run, or Fantastic Mr. Fox, or even one of my favorite stop motion films of all time, The Nightmare Before Christmas. Now look at Pokémon Concierge and tell me this doesn't look amazing to this very day. I will be waiting patiently till that day comes to fruition where I'm nothing more than a bunch of ashes on the ground. Going back to attention to detail real quick, there is so much of it with the Pokemon themselves that any Pokemon fan will just giddy with excitement. The Pikachus having the different gendered tails, Metagross flying around, or even Furret chasing a Rattata around multiple times. This tropical setting combined with the stop motion puppets is just so appealing, charming, and pleasant on the eyes. Seriously, the people at Dwarf Studios should be proud of what they made for not only respecting the source material, but actually doing their research about certain Pokemon behaviors, and I gotta give massive props to them for that alone.
Usually when we see the Pokemon universe, we associate it all with one thing: battles, training, contests, a 10-year-old single-handedly taking down a mafia crime syndicate, but I love seeing these shows where we just get some slice-of-life content focused on a less stressful setting. I actually think the entire show being about how Haru is essentially overworking herself and takes a moment to step back and relax and really focus on the connections she is making in her life was an amazing direction to take the show. Pokemon fans have seen the epic, action-packed, suspenseful content this series can make before. And I think with most of the Pokemon fanbase being older now, having a show where the main goal of the character is to chill the f*** out is a great idea.
Seeing an established franchise with a piece of media that takes a different direction with its story or tone always feels like a fucking breath of fresh air to me. As much as we love the battling aspect of Pokemon, sometimes we can feel a little tired or burnt out seeing the same things happen over and over again. Like, look at 2000s Disney as an example. These films may not be better than the Disney Renaissance, but people were looking for something different out of the studio after an entire decade of musicals. Films like Emperor's New Groove, Lilo and Stitch, and Treasure Planet prove that this mindset may be a risk, but in terms of the art, talent, and creativity, it can pay off. Mostly. The target audience for this series is made very clear. It's not only for kids who just want to look in awe at all these pocket monsters, but it is mainly for any hardworking young adult who feels overwhelmed and just needs a little pep talk to be reminded that everything is going to be okay. Just have fun, let go, be yourself, and love yourself.
My only complaint, if I'm allowed to have one, K-Dog, is that it was too short. The episodes range from 14 to 20 minutes long, and that includes like 7 minutes of credits. Now, I understand this is likely because it was done in stop motion, and stop motion takes a very long time to complete. A few seconds of footage can take several hours to complete. but I feel like we essentially got an hour-ish long movie that would act as a landing for a longer series. In my mind, these first 4 episodes worked really well to establish the setting and characters, but I wish we had more time with them. And I really hope that the series gets another season, and Netflix doesn't just drop it like they did with a bunch of other wonderful shows last year, because I could easily see this becoming a comfort watch show for me. And I'd love to see them even continue their episodes where each one is focused on a trainer and or a Pokemon coming to the resort with a problem, and it's up to Haru and Psyduck to fix it in whatever fun and wholesome way they can.
I never said you couldn't have any complaints, King. I mean, what do you take me as? A fucking average Twitter user? Nah, but being serious, for as much as I love this series, even I can't deny that it's way too short. While this was all fun, the series feels like it's ending right when it feels like it's getting started. These 4 episodes feel like the groundwork for a 12-episode series that just stops at 4, and it's admittedly a bit of a letdown. Like, we barely even know any more character traits that Haru's coworkers could have because the series spends very little time with them. However, I 100% completely understand that stop-motion animation takes a long time, since according to Henry Selick, The Nightmare Before Christmas took around 3 years, and more recent stop-motion films like Anomalisa have taken more than 2 years in production. And those are full-on movie studios. While I do want to see more of Pokémon Concierge in the future, part of me feels like too much of this kind of show can eventually feel stale and samey. But honestly, that just might be my anime side kicking in watching too much slice of life anime. As of now, there seems to be no plans for a second season, so who knows what the future is like for this series, if it even has one. Fans are already begging more, and the series is critically acclaimed already, so maybe this could be an indication, but we'll just have to see. So, final verdict. Is Pokémon Concierge worth watching? My answer? Absolutely, even if you aren't the biggest fan of the series. This is a show made for the fans and it delivered. The visuals are incredible, the message the show wants to give us is clear and concise, the attention to detail is top notch, and it's just such a cozy little show when you want to get away from it all and just take a break after a long day at work, or video editing, or whatever you do for a living. Use your imagination.
And I completely agree. This show is certainly going to make its way into my comfort show rotation. It's so cute, so wholesome, and just makes me feel like I am there at the Pokemon Resort with all of the cute Pokemon and fun characters. The atmosphere this brings is just stellar, and I can see myself coming back to it time and time again if I ever need to de-stress, get my mind off of things, or just need to see Psyduck being precious, which I think we all need more in our lives.